Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Friday, May 22nd, 2020, coming to you from the wonderful Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for Memorial Day vacation weekend. Coronavirus latest in each sport. A passing of an NBA legendary head coach. Recapping Wednesday night's finale of The Masked Singer and Thursday night's episode of Celebrity Watch Party. And then for The Masked Singer, I'm going to do a lot of superlatives for the season, so that should be fun. And my 2016 top 10 NHL players and games of 2016, like I said. All right, coronavirus. The latest word is like that hockey 24-team playoff thing. Looks like it's definitely happening. That's pretty good. I saw a list of what the matchups are going to be and how it's actually set up. So how it's actually set up is that you have the top two in every division getting a bye. And the third place in every division team and the wild card teams will be faced off against each other in the postseason, and then the winners of those series will move on to the field of 16 to play whomever they're matched up against in the next round in the field of 16. So that's how that's going to work. NBA, it really does look like it's either going to be Disney World and Vegas. So that is pretty good. Baseball, the MLBPA's health proposal has fewer restrictions but more testing and medical personnel. And then there's tensions escalating between the league and the Players Association, as you would have thought. Union says it's livid after MLB email was leaked to the media. Feels like it was an attempt to pressure players. So you figured that was going to happen because it's like the complete opposite of the NBA in terms of the revenue sharing and with the players and whatnot and how they feel about coming back. So that's a story to obviously keep an eye on. And in the NHL to use hub cities. If the proposed 2014 playoff format is approved, the league will likely use two cities for the season's restart. So that is obviously some significant news as well. So now I want to get to, unfortunately, the passing of NBA legendary Utah Jazz head coach Jerry Sloan. He died at the age of 78, and he had Parkinson's disease. That's a really sad loss. Thoughts and prayers to Jerry Sloan, his family, and the Utah Jazz organization. That is a huge loss. When you think of the Utah Jazz, you think of Jerry Sloan. That is like the first person you think of. He was obviously their best coach in team history, their longest tenured head coach in team history, got into the Hall of Fame in 2009, had a lot of good teams, obviously. Had the Karl Malone, John Stockton teams that went up against Michael Jordan and the Bulls in the 1997 and 1998 NBA Finals. A lot of people think that they should have won one of those two finals, especially the 98 one, because it was pretty close, and obviously Jordan was nearing the end. So you could argue that Jerry Sloan should have a ring or two, and then the next era of Jazz basketball is pretty good. They ended up with Deron Williams. They had Carlos Boozer at one point. And they had a lot of good players around Deron Williams and Carlos Boozer. He resigned in the middle of the 2011 season, and then Deron Williams got traded to Brooklyn. They were the New Jersey Nets at the time, actually. And then the Jazz went into a little bit of a rebuild after Jerry Sloan left. And then now they're back into playoff contention and very close to title contention with their core of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. So, sad day for the NBA and for the Utah Jazz as they suffer a huge loss with Jerry Sloan. And I also felt that he was one of the more underrated NBA coaches in the history of the league because he didn't win, unfortunately for him. Like I said, he should have won a couple rings, in my opinion. I thought he was overlooked by Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich in his era, and Pat Riley as well. So I just don't think that Jerry Sloan got the love he deserved from the national media, because those three guys I just listed, I felt were the darlings in Popovich, Phil, and Pat Riley. So I felt very strongly about my take that Jerry Sloan was an underrated NBA head coach in terms of league history. Now I want to talk about the celebrity watch party from Thursday night. It was the third week of it. It's a fun show. You see a lot of celebrities on there, obviously. You see Joe Buck and his wife Michelle. You see the Osbournes. You see Raven Simone. You see Rob Lowe. And celebrity appearances in this episode are by Romeo and Master P, Tyra Banks and her mother, JoJo Siwa and her mother, Justin Long and his brother Christian, Curtis and Stone and Lindsay Price, the Buck family, Steve and Janet Wozniak, Reggie and Lilith Bush, the Osbournes, Jesse McCartney after getting booted off The Masked Singer. We'll get into that. And his fiancée Katie and Raven Simone and her friends. The shows include Ultimate Tag, which I predicted, Graduate Together, which was the hour-long ceremony with LeBron James, Barack Obama, and a bunch of other people from the other night, 2020 Beverly Hills Dog Show, Mission Impossible Our Planet, Deadliest Catch, and The Masked Singer season finale. So that makes sense because we'll get into The Masked Singer finale right now. So I did spoil one of the contestants. We'll get to it. So the finale, I thought, was pretty good. I think all three performances were solid. The other night, Frog went first. He talks about self-doubt and how he gained confidence throughout his life, and he performed Bad Boy for Life. And he said after he performed that he had not done choreography before the show. My guess was Lil Bow Wow. Jenny McCarthy's final guess was Lil Romeo, although she did throw out Bow Wow. Ken Jeong went with Kid Cudi for his final guess for the Frog. And Robin Thicke and Nicole Scherzinger, as I predicted, would go with Lil Bow Wow. And who was it? It was indeed Lil Bow Wow. I was right. Robin was right. Nicole was right. All right. The Turtle went second, and he was the runner-up. And Frog came in third. Turtle talks about how he's changed as an artist, and he had a lot of almosts and what-ifs in his life. He talks about just getting married or just getting engaged, and he performed Before You Go by Louis Capaldi. My final guess was AJ McLean of the Backstreet Boys. Jenny McCarthy threw out Nick Carter, but she, with her final guess, went with Jesse McCartney. Nicole's final guess was Jesse McCartney. Ken Jeong went with Nick Jonas. Robin Thicke went with Adam Lambert. I'm surprised he went there. I thought he'd go with Joey McIntyre, and I thought Jenny would go with Joey Mac as well. I'm surprised she didn't. And who was it? Jesse McCartney, who I hinted at while talking about Celebrity Watch Party. A lot of people thought it was Jesse or Joey McIntyre. The hot rumor was Joey McIntyre early on in terms of who was speculated as the Turtle. And then Jesse McCartney, there was more hints leaning towards him, and then a lot of people were jumping on that. But I just thought it was AJ McLean because of the vocals. And then the winner was the Night Angel. I actually predicted before the Super 9 that she was going to win, but I felt that a couple contestants had supplanted her. But ultimately, Night Angel came away with the season 3 win. She talked about didn't having success as a musician and went in a number of directions. She talks about little angels, referring to her children. She had the best performance of the night, in my opinion, though, performing River Deep Mountain High by Tina Turner. My final guess for the Night Angel was Candy Burris. Jenny McCarthy went with Candy Burris. Robin Thicke, as I predicted, would go with Candy Burris. Ken Jeong went with Taisha Campbell after initially going with a lot of different options. And Nicole went with Taraji P. Henson. And who was it? It was indeed Candy Burris. So 2 for 3 right out of the finale this year. So that's pretty good for myself, getting 2 out of the 3 right. The one I was wrong about was the turtle, as it was indeed Jesse McCartney. All right. In terms of how the season played out, I'm going to do some superlatives for myself and for the judges as well. I'm going to do myself superlatives. My best guess was Robot Lil Wayne. That was the very first episode of season 3. I knew right away because of his voice, and I was indeed correct. And the reason why I consider that my best guess was because all the judges were wrong. And it was the first episode, and it was like, yeah, I was born long ago. And, like, I know that voice. I knew that was Lil Wayne. So I'm like, that's Lil Wayne. Like, I was so confident, and I was right. And I was proud of myself for that guess. My closest guess. I had a couple close calls this year in terms of my guesses. I'm going to say my closest guess was Kid Rock as the banana. There's a lot of hints towards Kid Rock about, like, rock and having some incidents in his life. So it ended up being Bret Michaels, but Kid Rock was not a bad guess, and that was a popular judge's guess within the first few episodes of the banana. So I'm going to say the banana was my closest guess. My worst guess of the season, I think, I'm going to get made fun of for this, I know. My worst guess of the season was the elephant, who was one of the worst contestants on the show this season, who turned out to be Tony Hawk. Who I thought it was Bryan Adams from that singer from the 80s. He sang Summer of 69. I was getting like that tone vibe, which was weird, and then it ends up being skateboard legend Tony Hawk, in which none of the judges got it correctly, but Nick Cannon did. Oh, and Nick Cannon was also right about Bow Wow and Candy Burris, so I gotta give him credit for Bow Wow and for Candy Burris. He said, I knew it, after Bow Wow was unmasked. That was predictable. I was gonna predict that on Wednesday's show, but I forgot. And then he kind of hinted that he got Candy Burris right as well. As he said, I knew that legendary voice. He said that after it was revealed that it was indeed Candy Burris. Judges, superlatives. Best guess of the season. I'm going to go with Jenny McCarthy with Jordan Woods. I was not expecting her to be correct with that one. That one surprised me, so I got to give a props to Miss Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg for correctly guessing the kangaroo as Jordan Woods. The closest guess from one of the judges. This is a tough call. There's a lot of close guesses from the judges this season in terms of close guesses. So my pick for the closest guess of the season, and this is in terms of final guesses, obviously. Ken Jeong with Tina Turner was somewhat close because it was Dionne Warwick, and I'm referring to the mouse, and they're in the same genre, so I consider that a somewhat close guess. You know what? The closest guess of the season, I'm going to say Robin Thicke with the llama. The llama turned out to be Drew Carey, and he guessed Adam Carolla. Because there was a lot of Seattle clues as well. So I'm going to say that was a close guess. And actually the closest guess of the season from who the guess was standpoint in terms of the ties was Robin Thicke, and the guest judge for episode 7 guessed Tina Fey as the bear. It turned out to be Sarah Palin. The reason why I consider that a close guess is because Tina Fey portrayed Sarah Palin on Saturday Night Live, and that Saturday Night Live hint was a throw-off to make people think it was Tina Fey. So I'm going to say Robin Thicke's guess of Tina Fey for the bear. Actually, no, there wasn't a guest judge. That's my mistake. Just Robin Thicke went with Tina Fey. I thought there was a guest judge on that episode. There wasn't. So, yeah, Robin went with Tina Fey, and it ended up being Sarah Palin. Worst guess of the season from the judges. This wasn't a final guess, but the worst random guess of the season was Jenny McCarthy guessing that the Rhino was Derek Jeter. That was terrible. No way would Derek Jeter do the Masked Singer. Come on, Jenny McCarthy. Come on. That was the worst guess of the season in terms of a regular guess. I just had to say that because that stood out so much. It's such a terrible guess. But the worst final guess of the season was indeed a Rhino guess, with Nicole going with Jason Aldean. No way. I know Jason Aldean's voice. I'm a fan of country music, as you could tell from the podcast with me doing the countdowns for songs. I've tipped my hand towards country music in a lot of these countdowns. And Nicole went with Jason Aldean. That was the worst guess in terms of final guesses for the season. So, surprisingly, Ken Jeong doesn't get the worst guess of the season in terms of the judges. It's Nicole going with Jason Aldean for the Rhino. Biggest surprise of the season was Sarah Palin being the bear. Nobody thought it was her. Everyone thought it was Tina Fey because the Saturday Night hint that I referred to Saturday Night Live and how she portrayed Sarah Palin. So nobody actually thought it'd be Sarah Palin herself. But here we are, Sarah Palin on the Masked Singer, and wrapped to Baby Got Back nevertheless. So that's easily the biggest surprise of the season. The contestant that should have gone further than she did, Kitty. To me, that's no debate. I thought she emerged as the best singer, and somehow she went home in the quarterfinal. That was a big surprise this season as well. Jackie Evancho being the Kitty. That was a huge surprise. Nick Cannon was stunned, and obviously she has ties with Cannon, and that's the only reason why she was on this show, and that they chose her because they knew Nick Cannon would freak the hell out over a former America's Got Talent finalist, all grown up on the show. They knew they'd freak out Nick Cannon, so that's why they did that, and they got him pretty good with that one for sure. Another surprise, and my pick for the I should have known ... of the season, the taco is Tom Bergeron. There's hints towards videotapes, America's Funniest Home Videos, a ballroom referring to Dancing with the Stars, and then there's hints referring to Hollywood Squares, which was a game show that Tom Bergeron used to host. So that's the I should have known of the season. Regis Philbin was a guess that was thrown out there early on, and I was shaking my head like, no way, that's not his voice. But it turns out that Regis Philbin wouldn't have been a bad guess because he comes in the same genre and era as Tom Bergeron. So in theory, Regis was not a bad guess. And the other I should have known ... of the season for me was JoJo Siwa as T-Rex. I thought it was her former Dance Moms teammate, Nia Seox Frazier, because I thought it was an African American person behind the mask, but sometimes people throw you off, just like a lot of people thought that Lion was African American in season 1 and wound up being Rumor Willis. And Nicole Scherzinger was right. She thought that Lion was white and not black in season 1, and all the judges obviously had guessed the girls from Destiny's Child, Michelle Williams and Kelly Rowland, as the Lion, and then JoJo Siwa wound up being the popular guest the night she got unmasked because Jenny figured it out, to her credit. So that's another I should have known for me, because I do follow JoJo on Instagram. She's a sweet girl. I remember her from Dance Moms, and she has a big personality. She's done stuff with Nick Cannon in the past, so I really should have known that was her. If I thought about her like as a legit candidate to be the T-Rex, I would have got it. Just like if I thought of Tom Bergeron, I would have been like, oh wait, he might be the Taco. Yeah, so those two are my I should have knowns for the season. Season 4, I did make a private list of random people I could see on season 4, but I'm not going to look at it until after that season's completed, which probably isn't going to be until January of 2021, maybe even February. So I'm going to hold that off, and I'll reveal that on a podcast next year and compare it to how season 4 plays out and see like who on that list is end up on the show. If I even get one on my list that ends up on the show, I feel like a genius, because what we've learned about The Masked Singer the first 3 seasons is that, especially in seasons 2 and 3, that it's unpredictable. The level of celebrities keep getting higher and higher. Season 2, I think, was their biggest star-studded batch. Although Season 3 had a lot of big names, but a lot of them got eliminated early. The biggest name left definitely was Jesse McCartney in terms of singers, but Bow Wow is probably the biggest star left of the bunch. So I'm interested to see what Season 4 of The Masked Singer will bring. Okay, now I'm going to do my 2016 top 10 NHL players. Honorable mentions: Vlad Tarasenko of the Blues, Drew Doughty of the Kings, and Jaromir Jagr of the Devils, then the Panthers. The Florida Panthers. So now my 2016 top 10 NHL players. 10th, Anze Kopitar, Los Angeles Kings. The Kings made it back to the postseason after a disappointing 2014-15 season. He had a great year, Kopitar. 9th, Alex Ovechkin, Washington Capitals. Caps won the President's Trophy but bowed out to Pittsburgh in the second round. Ovechkin had a great year. 8th, Joe Pavelski, San Jose Sharks, helped lead the Sharks to the Stanley Cup Final. 7th, Ben Bishop, Tampa Bay Lightning, had a otherworldly year in net. 6th place, Erik Karlsson, Ottawa Senators. The Senators were terrible, but he was just awesome. And in the 2016-17 season, he helped carry Ottawa to the playoffs. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a calendar year 2016. So Erik Karlsson belongs on this list. 5th, Joe Thornton, San Jose Sharks, helped lead the Sharks to the Stanley Cup Final along with Pavelski in that run. 4th, Braden Holtby, Washington Capitals, won the Vezina Trophy that year and helped lead the Caps to the President's Trophy. 3rd, Patrick Kane, Chicago Blackhawks. This was kind of the end of their run. They lost in 7 to the Blues in 2016, and then he was great in the 16-17 season as well. So he had a great 2016. Second place, J.B. Benn, Dallas Stars. Great season, single-handedly, or not single-handedly, but really carried the Stars to the second round of the postseason. And number one, Sidney Crosby, Pittsburgh Penguins. Obviously, he helped lead the Penguins to their second Stanley Cup in the Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin era. He won the Conn Smythe Trophy for the playoffs MVP. And this year, in 2016, even 17, were like the end of peak of the powers, Sidney Crosby. So I had to go with Sidney Crosby because the Pens won the Cup. And he obviously was a huge reason why. Now I'm going to do my 2016 top 10 games from the NHL. 10th place, Jets Lightning, February 18th. Shootout game, Tampa won 6-5. 9th place, Kings Capitals on March 9th. Kings were up 3-0. Caps came back to tie it. Jeff Carter wins it in overtime. 8th place, Blackhawks Blues, first round, game 7, 3-2 Blues final, as the Blues went on to the second round and finally get over the hump against Chicago. 7th place, Stars Blues, May 1st, second round, game 2, overtime goal by David Backes to even up that series at 1 apiece. 6th place, Pens Capitals, April 28th, semifinals, game 1, TJ Oshie hat trick and overtime goal, 4-3 Caps win, although Pittsburgh won the series. 5th place, Wild Stars, first round, April 22nd, game 5, overtime goal by Mikko Koivu to keep the series alive for Minnesota to force a game 6. 4th place, Sharks Predators, Western Conference Finals, game 6, overtime goal by Victor Avritsin to keep that series alive. Panthers Islanders in 3rd place, April 24th, first round, game 6, overtime goal by John Tavares to send the Islanders past the first round, finally for the first time in a long time. It was probably 25 years. And then 2nd place, Pens Capitals, May 10th, second round, game 6, overtime goal by Nick Menino to send Pittsburgh to the conference finals. And number 1, Predators Sharks, May 5th, it was the conference finals. My bad, not the semifinals. It was conference finals, game 4, triple overtime goal by Mike Fisher. That had to be it, that game. That game was wonderful, although the Sharks wound up winning that series. But the Predators really did bring some magic in that series. That's it for the show today. I'll be back on Tuesday recapping the latest news related to the coronavirus, anything else in the world of sports. I'll have a mock draft for you, 2013 NFL mock draft, 2015 top 10 songs as well. Hope you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend, everybody.